So at this point right here, we are inside the handle submit. We want to do a few things before we send off the user information to the server. We want to do some validation checking. Okay. Typically, as good programming practices, you want to do validation on client side and the server. Not just server, but you want to have a first line of defense and checking that input, the user's input on the front end on client side. So that way, before that information is even sent off to the server, you can relay or give the user information to tell them to fill in all fields, or that the email was invalid or whatnot. So that's what we're gonna do here. Is I'm going to do some client-side validation. I'm gonna do no here client-side validation. Okay, in order to make this happen here, let me remove that there. Okay, I am gonna use a library called Validator. So if I go here to Google, I'm do Validator. Oh, Validator. Let me do npm Validator. Okay, good. And as you can see by the weekly downloads, I mean, you got millions of people using it, so that's a good sign that this is a good library to use. So we're gonna use this here, and this is essentially, it validates. It helps validate your client-side data. So, anyways, let me go here to my console. Let me open another window up here. And I'm going to do npm install validator. And then while that's going on, I'm going to open my client-side package.json just so I can see here within under my dependencies that the validator ends up showing up. Okay. Okay, there we go. So you see under dependencies, we have validator installed. Good. All right, good. All right, so now that I have that installed, I am going to use it. But let me go here first and mark this off here. We installed validator. Now I want to set up validation within handle submit. Okay, but before we do that, just like every package we install, we have to import it. So let's import that. Import validator from validator. Actually, you know what? Let me go back here because this one's done a little differently here. Instead of having to use the whole library, we can just use, you see, import only a subset of the library. So I only want to use, there's 3 in total. I want to use the is empty or empty, the empty method, which is going to check if any fields are empty. The is email, and also what was the other one? The other one was equals, because this one right here I'm going to use to compare both the both passwords, the first password and the confirmation password, to make sure that they're equal. Okay, so those are the ones that I want to bring in. So I have to use this similar. I'm sorry, not that one. I may have to use something similar to this right here. Let me copy and paste here. So I do need the is email from validator is email, and the other ones were, let me go back here. I also needed the is empty. Was it empty? images. Oh, is empty. Okay, this one right here. Okay, is empty. Let me paste that right in here so I don't forget. And then the other one was, what was it called? Equals. Okay, equals. Okay, and equals. Okay, so they're the ones we need. And I'm gonna copy this here. Yeah, paste it to. Okay, and let me paste it another time here. Okay, so here I'm gonna use, what was it called? It was called is empty. Is empty, and that is gonna be found in the validator lib is empty. And then the other one was equals. Equals, and that is validator lib and then equals. Okay, so that way we don't have to import the whole library. We just use what exactly the subset or what we really need. Okay, so now that I have imported those, I'm gonna delete that. Okay, all right, good. I'm gonna close this terminal here. Okay. So now set a validation within our handle submit. All right, so now let's use those within our handle submit. So what I want to do here is I want to do some conditional checks. I want to do if. The first thing I want to do, I want to check if if the user, if any of these fields are empty at all. And if any of them are empty when the user press submits, I want to send a message to them. Okay, so I'm going to first check, I'm doing is, this was called is empty. So where we at? Okay, if is empty, and we're checking for all the fields. So the first one is username, or is empty email, or is empty password, or is empty password 2. Then execute this block of code, and we are going to do set form data. Remember, that's our method that allows us to change the state data, set form data to, we're going to spread out whatever the current form data is. And we are going to set the error message to all fields are required. Okay, so remember this error message, by default we had set it up here in our state to false. So if that code or block fires off because an input field is empty, this property right here will be filled in with that string that we provided, right, with that message right here, all fields are required. Okay, now if everything's okay there, we're going to do else if. We're going to check another condition, else if. We're going to check our input, our email field. Not, if not is email, and then the state prop is called email. Well, we're the same thing. We're going to fire off the set form data method, and we're going to spread out the current form data. And we're going to give an error message, error message of invalid email. Okay. If that's okay, if that block, if everything's okay there and no error, we're going to do another else if. We're gonna check for the two passwords if they match, and else if was called equals, or if not equals password, and then the comparison string, which we're comparing it with password 2, then set form data, spread out the current form data, and we're gonna give it an error message of passwords do not match. Okay, now finally, if everything it goes well, I'm gonna put a comment here for now, and this is where success occurs, where everything went well. Okay, now what I want to do here for the moment is currently I want a way to check out these errors if they're working. Okay, so let me go over here. I still have this thing displayed for testing purposes here. So I want to, right now I'm going to test out if all the fields are, if any of these are empty. So if I press, I gotta have the console open here. So right now we have fields that are, they're all empty, right? So if I fire this off here, okay, you see here, or maybe it was better here because I can actually increase the size here. Shoot, here. Let me bring that. Okay, perfect. Okay. So over here, if I press sign up, you see our error message is now filled with the message we provide, right? All fields are required. So now if let's test out the email. Okay, so I'm actually going to fill out all the fields. I'm going to do John Doe, then ABC. So all the fields are filled, but we are going to, for the email, I'm going to remove the dot here. So that's going to be invalid email. So if we look over, where is it? Oh yeah, in our error message, we should see the value change here. You see where we at? Okay. Let me decrease the size. Okay. You see over here for the error message, the value is invalid email. Good. All right, so let me change that back again. And our final validation was to check whether the two passwords match. So for the confirmation password, I'm going to add an extra number. I'm going to add a 4. So now they don't match. So that should trigger off an error for the passwords do not match. So I'm going to press sign up, and you see here, passwords do not match. Okay, so we see that our validations are working now, but obviously this is not the way we want our messages to be displayed to the user. We want something nice and elegant to display. Ideally, I want to put it on top of here. And I'm going to take care of that right now. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use Bootstrap. So let me go ahead and bring in Bootstrap. Where are we at? Yeah, let me actually expand this window here. Okay. So let's go to Bootstrap. Go to Bootstrap alerts, and I will be using this one right here. This one for danger, which is the red, and this one for success. Okay, so for now, what I want to do is I want to create a helper method that will display for us this Bootstrap, because I'm going to be using it in many other components multiple times. So I want to have this to pull it out from a helper function. Okay, so inside components, or inside the source folder, I'm going to create a folder called helpers. Inside this helpers, I'm going to create a file called message.js. Okay, so I have message. Oh, and actually set of validations. Let me mark these off. Set of validation within handle submit. Yes, so I did that. I set up the validation within our handle submit. Now, this is actually where we're currently at right here. Create a helper function for messages. So for our message.js, I need to import React from React. And I'm going to export a function here, export const. I'm going to call it show success message. Actually, the first one I'm going to do is show error message. Okay, this one's going to take an argument. It's going to be a message. Actually, not brackets. I'm going to do parentheses. And within here, I'm going to place my Bootstrap code. So for the error, I want it to be this right here. So I'm going to copy, where is it? The alert danger. Okay, copy that. And I'll paste that right inside here. Now I got React, I have to use class name. And I'm going to remove this default message that Bootstrap provides, and I'm just going to put message, which is going to be the argument, right? Okay. All right, so let's test this out quickly. So now that I exported it, I can actually import it here in Signup. Okay, here I'm gonna do import. Okay, from where is it at? Okay, we got to go back one directory and then go into helpers and then go message. And I want to pull out, what do I want to pull out from there? We called it show error message. Okay, show error message. All right, so now here under our renderer, right in here, right under our show sign up form, I'm going to do if error message, then show error message. And here inside of parentheses, remember the argument, we had an argument that we had to provide, and I'm going to give it the argument of error message. So this error message is the property from our state right in here. So this right here, it is saying that if error message is true, if it's true, then execute this right here, this method here. But if, like right now, it's false, right? Right now it's false because we set it by default, it's false. So it wouldn't show. But the moment that that error message, the error message state is filled in with is changed, we are going to have an error message. We'll make this a true, and it would show this error message here. Okay, so let's test this out right now. Okay, so here, okay, let's test out the first one. If I right now all the input fields are empty, so okay, that wasn't what, oh, why did it show? Actually worked, but it showed up on the bottom. I didn't expect that. I was expecting it to show up here, but that's fine. We can, at least it works. It's just I had to have to change the position of it. So I'm gonna delete that from there and place it on top of the form right up here. All right, save that. So now this should work. So if the fields are empty, so you see all fields are required. Good. All right, so I'm going to fill this in. John Doe, jdoe@gmail.com, ABC, confirmation ABC. I'm going to make an error with the email. I'm going to remove the @ symbol because that's going to create an invalid email. So now if I press sign up, okay, no valid. Okay, it's giving us the browser's default error handler right here. This is actually, that's Chrome's default validation, but I don't want to use their default handler. So let me see here. I'm gonna disable it. I believe it was I need to go here to form. I believe it was no validate. I believe, yeah, no validate. So let's see if that does a trick. Okay, let's go back here, redo everything. John Doe, jdoe, gmail.com, ABC, and remove that @ symbol to get an error for our email. And now it worked. Good. All right. So again, in order to not use the browser's default error message handler, and if we want to use our custom own validation handling, we have to, in the form, where are we at? So over here in the form tag, you have to add this attribute here and say no validate. Okay, so now that works. All right, so good. So now the validation for email works. Let's put that back in here. Now let's make an error for the password if they're not equal. I'm gonna add a 4 here for the confirmation password, so now they're not equal. And if I press sign up, passwords do not match. Good. So now let me correct that. And now everything should be correct. Everything is valid, even the password. So at this point, this should not show up. So I'm gonna press sign up. Okay, that did not work. And okay, and the reason for that is, I'll show you right now, is we can handle that right now. Well, actually, let me mark this here. Create helper function for messages. Okay, let me, yeah, okay, so output message, okay, good. So create the helper function. I'll get back to what I was, what we had to resolve earlier, but let me mark this off here. Create helper function for messages. So we already have in our helpers, for our helpers methods, for the messages, I have the show error message, but I want to do the same for a success message. And I'm just going to copy and paste whatever's in the error, but I'm just going to change this. I'm going to do a show success message. It's also going to take an input field, a message. But the only thing we have to do here is change this alert dash danger to alert dash success. Okay, and we also have to import that here inside the sign up. So right in here, show success message. Good. And within our renderer and return statement, we are going to do the same thing here. We're going to place the success message right over here. I'm going to do it right above the error message. Just change this up a little. Where are we at? All right, do success message. So if success message, if it's true, then show success message. Success message. Okay, let's make sure that works here. The way we can test that out quickly is we're here in the handle submit, because at this portion here, if all these conditions, if we get to the else block, that means everything went well. So I'm going to do oh yeah, So I'm going to do set form data, spread out the current form data state, and we're going to change success message to success. Validation success. This is just for testing purposes, this right here, but I'm to test out the success message. Okay, so at this point, if we get to this point here, the success message prop in our state is going to change from false to this string right here. Okay, and then the component will re-render, and this should display. We should get our message here. So let's test that out here. So let's do everything correct, no errors. John Doe, G like that, ABC, ABC. You see, validation success. So we get the green one. That's good. And if I was to change this here, put a 4 in the password so they don't match, it changes there. Okay, but right now both of them, both of these messages show up, but I'll fix that momentarily. So here I create a helper function for messages. So we created the helper message, the helper function for both the success and the error message. Okay, and output message, we outputted the messages, right? We saw that the error message and the success messages, that they were both output, they were both displayed to us. All right, next is we want to remove the error messages within handle change. So that is the portion right here that I was trying to resolve here, is that as you can see that they continue, that these messages remain here. Okay, ideally what I want is that, for instance, if an error does occur, here actually let me refresh this here. So here I'm going to sign up. So right now ideally what I want is that this message is going to tell us to all fields are required. So as a user, I am going to say, okay, well, I see this message here, so let me correct it. So here I'm going to try to refix it. So what I want is that as a user starts typing in, the moment they start typing in the field, the input fields, we can remove this message here. So we are going to do that with a little trick here. Within our handle change, right in here, I'm going to put over here, I'm going to put reset those error message and success message. So I'm going to do success message back to its default empty string, and error message to an empty string as well. So that should do the trick. So let's check it out. All right, all fields are empty, so we should get all fields are required error. Okay, you see it displays here. Now the moment that I start typing in, it's gone. Perfect. All right, good. So remove success error messages within change. Good. All right, so finally we have create helper function for loading. Okay, again, when we make our HTTP requests, once the form data, the user's input is being sent to the server, that's going to take some time. So to give the user, to let them know that the page is loading or the process is going on in the background, and to wait a moment, we want to show them the icon. And the way I'm going to do that is also within our helpers folder, I'm going to create another file, and I'm going to call this one loading.js. Okay, so here I am going to use a Bootstrap as well. Bootstrap has some spinners here. I'm going to do Bootstrap and spinners, and that is in Bootstrap 4.4. The one I want to get is this one right here. Okay, But what I want to do different is if you notice over here, this little light one here, it's almost invisible. I'm just going to remove that there. But you'll see what I'll show you momentarily. Okay, so we're going to go back to the sign up form. Oh no, I'm sorry, to the loading. I got to import React from React, and I'm going to export a function, export const. I'm going to call this show loading. This one doesn't take any arguments, actually in parentheses, and I'm going to paste in that Bootstrap code. I'm gonna let me indent this. Okay, I'm just good. All right, so now what I want to do is I need to change all these class names to, I'm gonna do Command D to tab through all the classes, because we need to change from class to class name, because that's what React requires. Class name. Okay, and what else? And I'm going to import that over here and sign up. So I'm going to do it right here under the messages. Import show loading from, got to go back one directory, got to go into helpers, and then loading. Okay. Okay, now we get a message here, we get an error here saying parsing error adjacent. Let me bring that up here. Okay, parsing error adjacent JX elements must be wrapped in enclosing tag. Okay, did you want a JSX fragment? Yes, that's what I wanted. Okay, well, we are going to fix that over here, because over here, remembering React, if we have multiple elements adjacent to each other like this, more than one, we need to wrap it around a fragment or a parent element. But here I'm going to use a fragment, which is provided from React. So I will be importing that in order to use that. But for now, I'm just going to do like that. All right. And I need to import it. That's part of the React library. So I'm going to do fragment like that. So if I save, the error goes away. Good. All right. So now we can use it. And I imported that here, show loading. So now I can use that. And I'm going to use a condition here within our return statement. And right in here, the condition is going to be if loading, if it's true, then show loading. In parentheses, because it's an error. I mean, it's a method. Okay. So let's test that out. And also right now, I'm going to remove this here because we don't need it anymore. This was only for testing purposes. So let me take care of that first. And sign up right in here. Actually, I'm just gonna comment it out. So let's go here. Okay, good. So it's out. All right. So right now, okay, well, error messages are working. Good. I want to see the loading, and I'm expecting it to be right up here. Now, one way we can test this, I'm gonna go over here and go to my network tab. And I can do, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my state. Currently you see it's false, but I'm going to set it to true for now. Okay. I'm going to save that. You see right in here. So it's showing up. Okay. Yeah, actually, we don't need the network tab. I was gonna slow down the network, but Yeah, right now it's not necessary at this point. So let me go back here. Okay, so right now this is working, that's good, but I want to bring this to the center, so make some adjustments. Where did I get it here? Okay, so we are here, create helper function for loading. Okay, so that's the end, that's where we're at right now. So let me fix that, and I want to make that to the center, bring that to the center. So the way I can do this is right here, loading. Show loading. Okay, so the way I can do that here is I'm gonna get a div, use a div, and place our method right in there. Okay, all right, still working, but I'm gonna give this div a class. I'm gonna do class name. I'm gonna do text center. Okay, good. So you see now it's centered. I'm gonna add some margin, some padding, bottom, and we'll do 4. Let me see how that looks. Good, much better. All right, so we see that the loading. So this right here, this is only for testing, but realistically what's going to happen is that as a user inputs their form, right, and the user signs up and all the validation checks are okay, this is going to fire off and make an HTTP request, and that request could take some time. So at that moment, it could be a split second. It could depend on the network, how slow the network or other variables, and you'll be able to see this for a moment of time, this loading, this little visible loading. Okay, all right, so that's all I wanted to do for now. We took care of everything here. Let me mark that off, and that was a success. All right, see you next video.